A popular late model win, Christopher Bell picks up right where he left off, more sprint car ride news, and we'll talk high limits gambling announcement. Let's go. It's Sunday, December 15th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. At Alltech last night, Randy Weaver made himself $100,000 richer thanks to the XR 604 Nationals win. He started 13th, was to the lead by lap 16, and then battled Jason Garver and Michael Brown through the rest of the feature to score the victory. Brown fought back to finish second after losing the lead on lap 56 for jumping a restart. Mason Ziegler charged to the podium from 22nd, and Brandon Overton and Ricky Weiss completed the top five. Definitely the richest win of Weaver's career. This one will be a popular win. I've already seen this morning a bunch of social posts congratulating him on the victory. This race effectively wraps up the 2024 Dirt Late Model season around the country. Don't worry though, in less than 3 weeks, we'll have cars on track at Talladega and Vado to start 2025. Indoors at DuQuoin, Christopher Bell made his return to dirt at the Junior Knepper 55 last night. He started on the pole of the POWRi Midget feature, but got outdueled towards the end by six-starting Carter Sarf. Sarf took the win with Bell second and Brent Cruz in third. Sarf could be an interesting one to watch come Chili Bowl in a few weeks. Bell, though, he didn't leave the night empty-handed as he dominated the 25-lap non-wing micro feature from the pole, topping Parker Leak and Cole Kirkman. After more than 2 years away from competition, Bell knocked the rust off pretty quickly, and there's no reason to believe he won't be a serious contender in Tulsa coming up. Also, Brent Cruz, this kid has been racing pavement all year. His last midget start was at Chili Bowl back in January. He shows up to a competitive 55-car midget field and puts it on the podium. That's impressive as well. Tulsa Shootout starts 2 weeks from this Tuesday, and then we're less than a month away from Chili Bowl. With weekend racing out of the way, let's talk some of the other news that's broken since we did that bonus daily show back on Friday. We led off with the split of Chris Windom and Vermeer Motorsports, and we didn't have to wait long for the two sides to announce their future plans. It was only a few hours after the show that Sides Motorsports revealed they were bringing on Windom with that NOS sponsorship to drive the 7S next season. Windom will battle for Rookie of the Year on tour with the World of Outlaws against Cole Macedo. Windom replaces Landon Crawley, who departed the 7S not long ago to join Michael Dutcher's team for next season. Windom will be into year 4 of his transition to full-time wing sprint car racing, and it hasn't been easy to this point. 15th in high limit points in 2024 with just 3 top 5s and 10 top 10s in 41 races. But he's going to be jumping from the frying pan into the fire, moving from high limit to the World of Outlaws. In 31 career Outlaw appearances, he's got just 3 top 10s. All of those, though, came this season with the best run of 6th at 81 Speedway, and then his last 2 Outlaw starts at Joliet and Riverside in October resulted in finishes of 10th and 8th, so maybe going in a positive direction here. We'll see if he can best Crawley's 10th place Outlaw points finish. On the flip side, Vermeer announced their next driver yesterday, and things have come completely full circle here. The 55 team will run next season with Hunter Schuerenberg back in the seat. Since departing the Vermeer team in 2023, June of 2023 to be specific, Schuerenberg had made the rounds in sprint car racing, driving something like 15 different cars. He found success along the way, too. He won 3 POWRi 410 shows at Lake Ozark in 2024 and picked up a Fast Series win at Paragon. Now he's reunited with Tony Vermeer and crew chief Clinton Boyles. A schedule has not been released, but there are rumblings this team could be pulling back from high limit and focusing on more regional racing. And I think with the expansion of the POWRi 410 deal, the return of the All-Stars, and Fast deal with POWRi, this could be a serious challenger for one of those championships. As you may have heard Jeremy Elliott say the other day on his 90 at 9, we're at a point where sprint car teams can put together a significant schedule, race for some good money, and never have to face high limit or the Outlaws. I could see Schuerenberg and Vermeer picking one of these series and then filling in with other races and having a very solid 2025 season. As we look at national tour fields, the Vermeer car pulling back would be a loss for high limit, but the addition of Windom to the Outlaws, well, sort of a flip, is actually not a net gain, as the size car was there last year anyway. The Outlaw field right now is David Gravel, Carson Macedo, Donnie Schatz, Logan Schuhart, Sheldon Hodenshield, Cole Macedo, Chris Windom, and likely Bill Baylog and Buddy Kofoid. We're still waiting on Gio Scelzi, although I don't think that car will flip the high limit. Bill Rose is still driver searching for the 6, and who knows what happens now with the Vermeer Motorsports 70. They are nowhere now after a deal with a young Midwest driver fell apart in the final hours late last week. That means we're likely at 11 with the loss of Brock Zierfoss. High Limit is sitting on 8 with Brad Sweet, Tyler Courtney, Spencer Baston, Dazen Persley, Aaron Reitzel, Justin Peck, Tanner Thorson, and probably Rico Abreu. Brent Marks still a question, as is the CJB5 with Brenham Crouch. We know they've lost Parker Price Miller, probably the Roth 83, Jacob Allen, Casey Kane, obviously Windom in the Vermeer 55, and potentially the Crouch car. A final topic for today. I did want to dive into the High Limit announcement back on Thursday afternoon that they will be bringing on sports betting for 2025. They're going the same direction we already saw USAC go earlier in the year, and they're using the same partner to make it happen. It's a company called Alt Sports Data. Alt Sports currently handles sports betting for a bunch of kind of non-mainstream sports and leagues. That includes the NHRA, the PBR, obviously USAC and High Limit, and then things like Power Slap and Bare Knuckle Fighting. There were very few details given in the announcement. It was basically just a 1 minute, I think 1 minute, 20-second video posted to social media where Brad Sweet and Flow Racing's Michael Rigsby were just kind of talking about it. This is a topic we've covered a few times this year on the show, especially since things went live for USAC back in May. And I've said a few times that USAC would not be the first to go this direction. Sports betting has become legal in more and more states in recent years following the 2018 Supreme Court decision that struck down the federal ban on it. When I worked at World Racing Group, these discussions were being had 4 or 5 or 6 years ago when it comes to wagering and dirt racing. And as things continue to expand and these series look for more and more ways to bring in revenue, this just seems to me like a natural progression. It's become a major part of the top sports like football and basketball. It's been a part of NASCAR for a long time already. It's pretty wild, though, just how nasty the reaction was to the High Limit announcement. People convinced the racing is going to be rigged and manipulated, that there will be conflicts of interest, and that this will somehow lead to addicted gamblers losing their houses. Right, because a bunch of people don't already believe the races are rigged, conflicts of interest haven't been happening in motorsports since it started, and gambling addicts will suddenly run wild and be unlocked because they can now bet on sprint car races. The sport is literally daredevils going from town to town, driving insanely fast vehicles on dangerous racetracks, trying to win as much money as possible while trying to not get severely injured. And this is the moral line that gets drawn in the sand. I wonder if those angry realize that racers are basically just gamblers. Let's spend a bunch of money building a race car to try and go win more money. Some interesting mental gymnastics going on here. There will certainly be challenges to overcome by adding in betting, but after the initial reaction to USAC, it's funny how we never heard any more about it on that side. These are problems and challenges the other leagues have had to deal with and face, so I'm not sure why dirt racing would be different. Policies and procedures and solutions are going to be found. Back to the bigger story, though. According to the American Gaming Association, sports betting in some form is now legal in 38 states, with wagering from mobile devices available in 30 states. USAC and High Limit are not going to be the first here, and I think we can assume an announcement is likely coming soon from World Racing Group. It was less than 2 weeks ago that Brian Carter was telling Mike Kirchner on the ePar Trade Race Industry Week call that they were working on wagering partners coming on board as well. And what's interesting is between Brad Sweet and Brian Carter and also USAC's Kevin Miller, it's like they were all given the same talking points. All three pointed towards using wagering to create more fan engagement and more involvement. USAC's Miller was also part of that Race Industry Week, and he gave some insight into what it took for USAC to go this direction and the results, which were actually kind of surprising. I've had a bunch of people reach out to me asking if I knew any details about how things were going for USAC this season, and apparently it's not great, at least financially. Miller said it took them 2 years and cost them $200,000 to get USAC to a point where they could make it happen. He said the first betting events, which were Indiana Midget Week races this year, way back, I believe in May, saw a 25% increase in Flow Racing viewership. That's great. But he revealed they don't make any money on the gambling itself. Miller said USAC is using it as a way to grow the fan base and reach new groups of people. That's certainly an interesting revelation, and it makes you wonder if that will just be a USAC problem or if dirt racing as a whole just isn't big enough for gambling to be profitable, even for the larger series. It's clearly now going to be a risk for High Limit and eventually World Racing Group, but they're obviously hopeful that the possible reward will be worth it. The American Gaming Association reported that sports betting revenue for 2023 was nearly $11 billion, and it could grow even larger for 2024 and beyond. As dirt racing continues to look for more ways to increase revenue, there are going to be caps on certain areas. We're going to get to this point, where ticket and streaming prices, they're not going to be able to grow much more. And the same will be true of merch sales, sponsorship, a constant battle. You're, dealing with the economy. You just don't know there. Everyone seems to want the pool of money to be bigger, especially for drivers and teams. But then when alternate sources of money are introduced, like gaming, suddenly there's pushback. We can't have it both ways. Love it or hate it, though, the toothpaste officially out of the tube on betting. All right, that's the Daily Show for today. Hope you guys have a great Sunday out there. We'll see all of you right back here tomorrow.